everybody. Welcome to Today in Space. I am, as always, your space science podcast host from the East Coast, Alex G. Orfanos. We're back for another episode of Today in Space. Right now, I am driving up to Maine and have been on quite the adventure. I was in Chicago this past weekend, meeting up with the VeeFriends community. If you don't know what VeeFriends is, it's a community that started on Web3 with NFTs from a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. You may know him, but essentially it's this brand about emotional intelligence, and it's got all these characters, and it's brought a bunch of people. It's just a community. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason why I'm so excited and what I'm getting out of it is not that it's some NFT online. It's a group of people that get together that have similar interests, or in this case it's VeeFriends, but it's just a great group of people that I've met, and this is at the National Sports Card Convention. So for me, it was like this mixing of all these awesome things, getting to see these people that I don't get to see many times a year. We get to talk online, and we do streams, and we hang out, and a few of us call each other, and our friendships have grown over the years. But at the National Sports Cards Convention, it's like this mix mash of my interests as a kid, growing up, collecting Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and sports cards too. And we just had a blast. One of my friends, Alex, we were able to share a hotel room, so it's really just awesome meeting all these people and having friends that are willing to share hotel rooms to help get me out there so that I can see them. I felt so much love this weekend, hanging out with those people, and I'll be posting what we found. We found some really cool space collectibles. I was walking around, and there was a Princess Leia card that was signed by her that had a price tag of $12,000, which was insane. Some of the stuff that's there, stuff that's older than 100 years. I met comic book collectors, trading card collectors, sports card collectors, coin collectors. There's so many. It was such an interesting group of people all in one place. And then we had all these other events for the community I was with. There was a trading card tournament, which was a lot of fun. It was a great night. I flew out there on Friday, had a blast, and then Saturday there was more events. There was a nice event after the card show that a guy named Mike JY, who I got to meet for the first time, really big community member, who's been very generous and has been collecting, has a really insane collection, but also a very nice guy, and it was just an opportunity for all of us to get to know each other more, or for me to meet new people I just had never met in real life. And then I came back on Sunday, and I was about to go up to New York. to Maine. And New York's the next trip. I was going up to Maine, and all of a sudden my car had an issue. I was driving on the highway going 70, 75, and just lost all acceleration from the pedal, and started hearing noises, started smelling rubber, ended up pulling off. Luckily there was something right there. Ended up pulling the car off safely, got it right into an actual repair shop. It was amazing that I even made it that far without the car not being able to move. And then got it towed the next morning, and it was definitely not what I was expecting, especially after driving for 2 hours already and having another 3.5 hours to go. Made me think a lot about space, and spacecraft are not always going to work as planned. And so what kind of contingencies do you have? Obviously the Apollo 13 team did not have repair abilities or the ability to get someone else up there to fix it. They had to do it with the help of the people back on Earth. But what does a space AAA look like? What does a space tow look like? And how long do you have to survive? What can you do in the meantime? Something I'm definitely going to play with story idea wise, because I think that would make a cool sci-fi something, I don't know. But I would love to know what you think, and just that idea, like getting lost in space, or how would you handle fixing your spacecraft if things go wrong. Star Wars does it great, right, with Chewie and Han. The spacecraft doesn't is usually has something wrong with it. But it's how my brain works. I could have been miserable and just been pissed that I was stuck and I had to wait for a ride and then I had to get it towed. Instead, I just made the most of it and let my brain roll with the creative ideas. But now I've got another car. I'm on my way up. We still don't know what's going on with the car, but we'll figure that out eventually here. But yeah, I'm driving up. This week I plan to do some more work with AG3D Labs. If you guys didn't listen to our last episode, definitely a good idea to go listen to our last episode, because we talked about this new era for AG3D, which has been our 3D printing lab here for the podcast. We help bring people's ideas into reality with 3D printing. So if you ever have a project, if you want to figure out how 3D printing could fit in with you, help solve a problem for you, if you've got an idea that you want to make and have it in your hand, just make a single prototype, maybe start a business, whatever it is, even if you're just interested in 3D printing, go to ag3d-printing.com. We have a bunch of services you can sign up for. We've got I believe it's a 15-minute video call that you can sign up for at any time. There's a schedule built right in there. Same thing goes for any of the other 3D printing services, whether you're just you have your small business with a 3D printer, or you're just a person with a 3D printer. You're stuck on this mystery. You just can't figure out how to move forward. There's a sign up for that, 30 minutes at a time, and we get on video and we work it out. I've been working in 3D printing and solving 3D printing problems for almost a decade at this point. And so the part detective services with AG3D help you get those parts successful. And we're expanding that. So you can go check that out. Again, ag3d-printing.com for what we do, what we've done, and how we can help you with your next 3D printing mystery. But we're also expanding into software and AI tools with AG3D Labs, which is kind of the culmination of all of them, because we are working on 3D printing software tools to make people more successful with 3D printing, and rolling that all into an AI and AI tools that will not only help you leverage all of that knowledge and that know-how that the part detective and just 3D printing knowledge, how to make a good part, but you'll also learn with it. So if you're brand new to 3D printing, the idea would be that you would learn at an accelerated rate, a faster rate, because this AI tool is guiding you and prompting you along the way on what to do. Now that's a lot, especially if you didn't see me working on AI tools at all. This may come across as a shock, and if it does, I'd love to hear from you. Or if you're interested, I'd also love to hear from you. But regardless, if you want to reach out, you can email me anytime at todayinSpacePodcast@gmail.com. You can hit me up on social media. There's Today in Space on TikTok, Today in Space Pod on X, Twitter, and Instagram. But I really would love to hear from you, especially as we enter this new phase. To the writing of software and debugging and troubleshooting and going through different milestones to get to a functional app has been really meditative in a lot of ways, and also a lot of fun. I think I talked about last episode how it feels a lot like writing, like a book or anything like that, creative writing a script. It's more about showing up every day and putting in that work and focusing on those milestones that you need to do. And it's been interesting to see myself grow in coding, because I was definitely very brute force when I was doing that project for my IQP in college. We were making the paperless app, and now it feels good to have a nice focus, and I'm really excited on combining all of those things. You know, one example that I have that's actually relevant to me going up to Maine is I'm bringing up my telescope, and you guys may have seen our VeeFriends and Stargazing live stream. So basically, if there's ever a clear night and we're home, or we're at a place with internet access, with Maine I will not have internet access to stream, but I'll put my telescope on and you can check it in at any time during the night as we're going through. I usually give a schedule of what we're going to look at, and that's been a lot of fun. It's been cool hearing from people that are following along, who are, even if they're only popping in for 10 to 20 minutes, maybe they're up super late, maybe they can't sleep. I know a few people who have kids who they're up late and they just put it on because we just have, you know, some lo-fi, some music on in the background while the telescope is gathering light from the universe. And so definitely check that out and follow us online for, you know, YouTube, TikTok. We started streaming on there, and we're also streaming on X and I believe Facebook too. So, oh, and our Twitch channel too, Today in Space. So if you ever want to do that, check it out. But my whole point of bringing up the telescope in relation to AI tools is a great example of software and hardware working together and getting better over time is the smart telescope from VeeFriends. Now, I'm not paid by them. I have had Cyril Dupuis on, who was the CEO of VeeFriends early when Vespera, the telescope that I have, was just about to launch. It was, I think, in the early bird, which is what I ended up getting on. And it was definitely a good choice, especially since the company continues to release new software updates. Now, this company's in France, right? So they're deploying. I have the same hardware that I bought a few years ago, but it is always getting better, and there's new features. It's able to do more than just the hardware was able to do originally. And it's been such a joy to see that as a customer. And I think in the 3D printing world, I think Prusa Research did a really good job with the Prusas. They're open source. They have kit options so that you don't have to spend all the money, and you can also learn how to put something together. They also just have great 3D printers in general, but that's more in like the DIY space and not so much like the telescope I have. The telescope I have, the Vespera 1, is a lot more like an iPhone than, you know, a telephone, if you will, like, or just like a piece of technology. It's a piece of technology, a piece of hardware that has software that makes the user experience really, really good. And to the point where it's so easy to use. Like, for instance, I hook up my iPad to my laptop, and that screen, now that I guess this is Apple's uniformity of software and hardware combined with this telescope's uniformity of hardware and software, just making it super easy. But that's good technology, right? Good technology allows you to do more and be more creative than what you originally have. That is the ultimate goal of what I'm trying to do here with AG3D Labs and 3D printing. I want it to get to the point where you can focus more on the 3D printing of parts than tinkering with the printer or with your model, and then dealing with the problems of using something that really wasn't meant for that technology, right? Can you weed out the parts? Can you recommend changes to make sure that you don't have to print multiple times to troubleshoot a bunch of different things? 3D printing has made a huge leap, right, in the world of everyone can have a 3D printer in their own house, like they have a paper printer at home. With Bamboo Labs, they've done a tremendous job of, you know, everyone I talk to now recommends, oh, you 3D print, you have a Bamboo, like that. It's so commonplace, and it's been so easy to 3D print and 3D print multicolor parts. That product is a very great example of hardware and software being combined to do that. What I want to do is add another layer to that and put the human in the loop, put the person using the machine in the loop, so that not only is the AI getting better, but you as the person 3D printing, you also are getting better. And so I just wanted to talk that out a little bit as I'm driving up hours to Maine. It's been rolling around in my head. I want to do more AG3D Lab updates with you, and we've got another 3D printing extravaganza. No, we've got another fun 3D printing project that I've been working on with my friend Matt Guy over at Niche 3D. We're combining 3D printing forces for a new content release. I mean, we'll talk about it soon, but stay up to date on that. Go to ag3d-printing.com. Follow us at AG3D Printing on Instagram and on LinkedIn. And we're going to have more to share there about that. But I just wanted to check in as we are in the midst of all this chaos with so many people at NASA choosing to leave before there were cuts made at NASA. I think if all the cuts were made, I think it's like 47% of the workforce would be cut. And there's an assistant administrator in place who's also running a whole bunch of other agencies and not just focused solely on NASA. So it's very, very wild out there in the space world. Starship just had 2 static fires successful, so Flight 10 gets closer to reality, probably mid-August. I think that's what they said themselves. So we will see what happens and how that goes. In the meantime, I'll be plugging away with software and AI and 3D printing. And if there's any good stargazing moments, pictures, you know that I will share it online. So make sure to follow us, Today in Space, on TikTok, Today in Space Pod, on X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And make sure to like and subscribe over on YouTube and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. I am your space science podcast host from the East Coast, Alex G. Orfanos. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Today in Space. Talk to you soon. Happy stargazing.